Hello friends, this video on locomotion and movement part 17 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So with this we have ended our discussion on the different types of skeletal system, that is the axial and the appendicular skeleton. Now we will talk about the third important part of the skeletal system, that is joints. So what are joints? Now, as I said, the skeletal system is made up of bones and some cartilages. But these bones need to be connected to each other, and the points of their attachment is called joint. So joints are nothing but the points of contact between two bones or between bones and cartilages. So they are nothing but, and that is why the name joints, because the bones get joined there. So here if you see, this is one bone, this is another bone, and these two bones are joined here. So that is a joint between these two bones. Now looking at this picture, you can also make out how muscles, bones, cartilage all are linked. Now this is your muscle. So these muscles are connected to the bones, right? So if you see, the muscles are connected to the bones here. And what are they called? They are known as the tendons. So the tendons connect the muscles to the bones, and here you have the bones. Now when the muscles contract, so these contraction actually can make the bones move, right? So the muscles, bones and joints together help in movements. Now when the muscles contract, they can make the bones move, but the bones are joined at this point. So these joints act as the pivots, or it can act as the fulcrum. So something like this, let us suppose you have a pivot like this or a fulcrum like this, and if you put a lot of weight here, what will happen? It will bend down like this. That is because of the presence of this, right? So if this goes down, this goes up. That is due to the presence of this fulcrum. In a very similar way, when the muscles contract, they produce a force, and the force is then acted upon by the fulcrum, causes movement of the bones needed to cause the overall motion. Right? So the muscles, bones and joints together help to make movements. So that is why when you look at this picture where you can see the skeletons dancing, so you see that the movements happen in coordination between the various parts. Now let us look at this example. Let us suppose if you want to fold your hand. So how do your bones and muscles change? Now when your hand was like this, these were your, what are these? These are the bones which you have. Now these bones in turn are connected to the muscles, and these are the joints where the bones are connected. So if you see, when you contract, what happens? Your bones tend to relax. That happens due to the contraction of the muscles. When the muscles contract, they tend to pull these bones upward. When the bones move upward, the joints tend to move. When the joints move, they help to move the bones which are present in this location. And that is how you are able to carry out various movements. So now you are getting an idea how movements take place. So everything is initiated by the muscles. So only when the muscle contraction happens, the bone and the joints, they can move. So let us look at the various types of joints. Now joints are of three types. Fibrous joints. These joints do not allow any movements, and they are found in cranium, that is in the skull. That is why you would have seen that the skull is not movable. You can move your neck, but you cannot move your skull. Your skull is hard and stiff. But there also, in skull also you saw, right, that the cranial bones are all connected to each other. So they are also connected to each other by joints, but they are all fibrous joints, and that is why they do not allow any movements. The next type of joints are the cartilaginous joints. The name cartilaginous is related to cartilage. So here limited movements are allowed. So the bones are joined by cartilages, and these type of bones joints are found in the vertebral column. So even in the vertebral column, if you see, not too much of movements are allowed, right? Even though you can make some movements. For example, you can bend backwards, or you can make little bit of movements, but not very flexible movements. So there the bones are joined by the cartilage. So as I said, cartilage offers little bit of flexibility, and that is why little bit of movement is allowed. And the third type of joints are called the synovial joints. Here considerable movements are allowed. For example, the movement of your hands, your knees, your legs. So many movements you can make there, right? So this is because of a fluid-filled synovial cavity present between the two bones. Now in this case, between the two bones, you had cartilage. Now here in this case, between the two bones, you have a fluid. So when you have a fluid, it offers more flexibility because it is not very stiff and hard and solid. So these type of joints are found in the limbs. One of the example is the knee joint. So that is why you are able to fold your knees like here. So here you can see that the knees can be folded off. The arms here also, elbow can be folded off. So these are due to the presence of the synovial joints. So let us look at some of the examples of the synovial joints which are present in our body. So one example is the knee joint, which you can see here. The knee joint which can be easily folded. The next one is the ball and socket joint. What is ball and socket joint? It is present between humerus and the pectoral girdle. So this is the humerus bone and this is the humerus is on the hand. So this is your humerus, the long bone, and this is the pectoral girdle. So here you have the ball and socket joint. Why is it called ball and socket joint? Because the humerus head is almost like a ball, somewhat like this, and here the depression in the pectoral girdle, that is almost like a socket. So that is why it is called ball and socket joint, because the ball fits into the socket. So this type of ball and socket joint is also present between the femur head and the pelvic girdle. Next is the pivot joint, which is present between the atlas and the axis. Where is atlas? Atlas is the first vertebra of the vertebral column and axis is the second vertebra of the vertebral column. So between them is present the pivot joint. And what does the pivot joint do? It allows the flexible movement of the neck. We are able to move our neck, right? When you say a no, how do you move your neck? So from one side to the other, and that is possible due to the presence of the pivot joint, and that is why the name pivot joint. That means you have a stand like this and then you can rotate something above this. So that is how it is. You can rotate your neck just above this joint. The gliding joint, it is present between the carpals and carpals. So where are the carpals located? So if you see, carpals are present in your wrist bone, right? So since the wrist bones are joined by this kind of synovial joint, so that is why you are able to move your wrist freely. And the last one is the saddle joint, which is between the carpals and the metacarpals. So metacarpals is present in the palm. So your wrist and palm, between them also a lot of flexibility is there. That is why if you see the wrist, the palm and the fingers, they all have joints which are synovial joints, and that is why you can so freely move your palm, your hand, your fingers. So everything is so easily movable. So these are all examples of the synovial joints. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.